Let us know in the chat, in the comment, where you're tuning in from. Happy Wednesday. Big waves to you out there. Good to see you. Good to see you. Get them hands going. Let's get fired up for the day. So, we've got a word to bring to you today, but the first thing I want to share is one of our business partners, him and his wife and family, lost their home last night in Florida. And so I want to give a big prayer request out there to Reese and Ashley Antley. So many of you on here know Reese and Ashley, and last night they had a very tragedy with their home. Everyone is okay. Everyone is there was no one in the home, so that is, we thank God for that, but we also want to pray for them and their family. So we love you, Reese and Ashley. So our word for today is surrender. Surrender. And this is all, I almost laughed this morning. I got to share a quick story about this. So if you look at the definition of surrender, it's cease resistance to an enemy or an opponent and submit to their authority. So how many of you are stubborn or ill, like you're one of those people that like anchor your heels in the sand, like, surely not Andrea. No, 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 not you. Okay. Well, to give over to the power of is another definition for surrender. But let me tell you, the mind is where I went this morning. I just kept thinking about it and I thought, has anybody ever called you stubborn growing up? I used to be called stubborn a lot. The power of the mind is something so many times it's hard to surrender that strong-willed mind. And yesterday, I got to tell you, I was coming out of the coffee shop yesterday morning. I had 2 cups of coffee. And if you don't know me, like I love a clean vehicle. So I keep my vehicle. I might almost wash the paint off of it. I wash it so much. So I like a clean vehicle. This is the way I am, the inside, outside, whatever. So I'm 2 cups of coffee. I go to put it in, and literally, I must had extra power yesterday because I squished the coffee cup and it went everywhere, all over my gear shift, all over in my cup holders. Like, yes. Brenda's like, no, that didn't happen. Yes, it did. And as I was upset, like I was going to start my day off on a bad note before the coach's corner. And as I'm wiping it all up and soaking up the liquid and all of that, I just started laughing. And I think I got to thank the good Lord for it, because I thought, look at me, this 48, almost 49-year-old man, like willing to risk and like completely turn his day to something sour because he spilled some coffee. Is it that big of a deal, Brent? I just started laughing at myself as I was cleaning it up. I share that with you to go, sometimes the moment of surrender is not when it's over, but it's when it begins, like when life begins. And I don't know about you, but so many times I have been so like, I'm not surrendering. I'm going to fight this thing. And, sometimes we just have to surrender. And truly surrendering to something means like letting go of needing to control the outcome. Now, I want to share with you this. That's exactly how sales is. So if you're in a business right now where you have good weeks and bad weeks, well, that's sales, right? Okay, just newsflash, that's called sales. Talk to any salesperson in the world and they would tell you there's ups, there's downs, like that's called sales. But if you're having to control the outcome, it can get very frustrating. What if we just controlled the activity? Like if we just control the activity. It's so interesting to me in sales, when sales are not going the way people want them to go, they start looking at all this other stuff. And it's like, is it controlling the activity or is it just making you feel better for where you're at? Right. So I would challenge all of us, like sometimes we got to truly surrender, which means letting go of the need to control things. I just need to focus on the activity to get me to where I want to go, or my team, or my group. So maybe it's a contest, maybe it's an incentive, maybe it's something, but create a movement of activity. The next thing is embracing vulnerability by acknowledging limitations, surrendering that you're not the smartest person in the world. You're not perfect. There was only one perfect person to walk this world, and guess what? It was not you, Hill Blue. It was not, newsflash, it's not Hill. It's not Brent Palmer. Okay? So guess what? We got to be vulnerable enough to go, you know what? I've got limitations. And I've got to match up strengths to my limits, my limitations, right? And so another thing that truly surrendering means is surrendering the ego. So I don't know about you, but sometimes I won't surrender because of pride and ego. No, I'm going to prove this thing out because this is the way I believe, and blah blah blah. And it's like, no, like sometimes I got to accept a need to change, and I got to be willing to surrender my ego or maybe even my insecurities so that I can grow, so that I can develop, so that I can move forward. So that was my thought today with surrender. Andrea, you must have thought I needed this word today. That's why you put it out there for me.
I
Okay.
actually thought
Thank
that
you.
I needed this word today, but we can pretend that I was thinking about that you needed it. But I want to say we have a birthday girl. So our birthday girl is on here. So we will have to sing at the end. So
I met, yes. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, well, good deal.
yes.
Stephanie
So
Wilson's birthday is today, and she is 22 years old. And we hope she has the most amazing day ever. And Stephanie, we love you so much.
love it. So the quote that I found around surrender was sometimes it's not the times you decide to fight, but the times you decide to surrender that make all the difference. And I think about, we talked about the stubborn, and I raised my hand, and I didn't just raise it here, like I raised it here, I raised it here. Like I can be a little set in my ways. We've talked about this before, right, friends? Like we're that's okay. And I think sometimes surrendering can be really hard, but it can be so powerful. So what I looked into, and this is a lesson that I need. So guys, you get to be here with me in this little therapy session. But some of the things that we need to surrender to in order to be happier, in order to be healthier, in order to be more productive. So first of all, we've got to surrender to the unpredictability of life. Like we have to realize and accept that not everything can be controlled, even when we really, 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 really want it to be able to be. Next, we've got to let go of the need for perfection. And I remember a moment, and Coach, I don't know if you remember this. This was many, many years ago. I still lived in California, and I can picture where I was. So to paint you guys a picture, I used to literally work in my closet. I don't do well with distractions. So I cleared out like half my closet. I put my desk in there because then I had two doors between myself and the family that was noisy and obnoxious, and that would help me concentrate. So I'm literally working in my closet, and I was trying to get something done. And what Coach said to me, what Brent said to me was, just do it. Like it's better to get it done than to wait till you can get it done perfectly. And I literally printed it out and I taped it to the wall because I needed that reminder constantly, because sometimes we want everything to be perfect. and we don't take that first step because we know we can't take the perfect step. So if we let go of that need for perfection and we actually can embrace the imperfections as part of the whole human experience, we're going to be so much happier, so much more relaxed, and we're going to be so much more productive because, man, I don't know about you guys, I've never actually done anything perfectly. All it does is slow me down when I try to. So it doesn't actually work out. Next is we can surrender and release grudges and forgive. Right. Sometimes some of us can hold grudges and we can keep them right here. And who does that hurt? It only hurts us. So if we can release that resentment and we can release some of those things so that we can continue to grow and build our connections and have stronger relationships moving forward, that's going to help us. Next, we can surrender the desire for constant approval. Who out there likes the attagirls and the attaboys? Like, I know I do. I want the little pat on the head. I want to be told, you're doing a good job. Everything's going great. But what I have to realize is if I really want to be a happy, peaceful, successful person, those attagirls have to come from me. And I have to release that that's going to come from an outside source and try to prioritize self-validation and authenticity, just being myself, living that life and letting that be good enough. Next, we've got to let go of that fear of failure. Life is messy. We're going to trip. We're going to fall. We're going to stumble on our words. We're going to do all those things less than perfectly. And that's okay. We've got to view those as opportunities, as a way to grow, to learn, and become a little bit better. Release the urge to compare yourself to others. Anybody else play this game? You know, maybe some of you are part of our company. We can get on the IPA and I could be like, oh my gosh, Brenda, not only does she have prettier hair, but she's building a bigger business. She's doing this better. She's doing that better. And I can compare myself and feel less than. And guess what? If I can just surrender and release that, then I'm going to go farther. Brenda, I think you're perfect. And then lastly is surrender to the present moment. Be mindful and realize that this moment is the only moment that we actually have any kind of control over. So I can fret over the past, or I can fret over the future, or I could just surrender to this moment, be mindful, and appreciate this moment in time. So that's what I had today, Coach. Hopefully
Great,
that was
great
helpful to
lesson. I
somebody.
think if we were honest with ourselves, we probably all struggle in the surrender category in some area of our life, right? It's definitely there. So great lesson. Stephanie Wilson, this song is for you. It's your birthday. Happy birthday, lady.
Happy birthday, Stephanie.
Thank y'all so much.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
Happy
Happy birthday to you.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
Thank you so much. Have a beautiful birthday.
Thank you.